Hey, baby, it is season 2, episode 15 of Heavy Theology.
I'm pretty excited about today's episode, Miss Bree.
Me too.
This is kind of a new area for me.
Yeah, this is kind of a new one for me. I've never really explored it, but I sure did today.
Well, yes, the research has been adamant this afternoon.
Yes, it has.
But I'm kind of glad because I do get this question quite a bit about portals.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, last week we talked about Ouija boards, and if you missed that episode, I invite you to check it out. And if you like what you hear or see there, please take a moment to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes of Heavy Theology. Today we are talking about portals.
Portals.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be a good one for sure. But first, I want to share with our listeners and our viewers details about our very first live event that is coming up on Friday, May 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. here at Crow Coffee Lounge in Yuma, Colorado. This is in honor of our very first 10,000 subscribers. Now, right now, we have 15,000 subscribers, but this is in honor of having reached our first 10,000. So we're going to have a live event where you guys are welcome to come out and just ask us anything that you would like to ask us. It's our very first live Q&A event on Friday, May 22nd, 6 to 8 p.m. here at Crow Coffee Lounge in Yuma, Colorado. And this is, of course, sponsored by Crow Coffee Lounge, The Platinum Bookkeeper, and Hive and Pulpit Video Productions. All right. Are you ready for portals?
I am ready for some research.
All right, good deal. Well, this one came to us by special request. A young lady who we will call Elle asked us to discuss this topic because she had been experiencing some pretty frightening events that had been happening in her home at night. Well, she felt that she had been watched pretty much constantly, and things kept getting moved. Her dog would just stare at seemingly nothing and bark and growl. And she was plagued by nightmares. She would hear people call her name, and these would be men, women, and children's voices. And then one night she woke up to see 6 men who looked identical, all dressed in black, standing in her room, facing away from her. And then she watched as they walked out, single file, and just disappeared. Now, here's the thing. This is a 2-story house, and I've spent the night in the room directly above her room, and I have encountered some really strange things in this house. Now, the bedroom door where I was staying had opened on its own. There had been some knocks on the door when no one was there. And then one night, I awakened in the middle of the night to the room being completely bathed in red light. You know how, like, if an ambulance is outside, there's the red flashing lights. Well, it was like that, but this wasn't flashing. These were just solid red lights that permeated the entire room. And this was before I knew that Elle was having the issues that she was having. Now, when we investigate a case, we determine, is there any reasonable psychological reason behind the happenings? Was there any trauma, any abuse, or any untreated mental illness? And once that's ruled out, we start looking for external factors such as carbon monoxide or natural gas or mold, anything that could be in the environment. And when we investigated this particular house, please tell everyone what you found.
The light bulb was out outside of Elle's room, in the living room outside of Elle's room. And so I thought, well, since I'm here, I'll just help him and I'll replace the light bulb. And so I pulled the plastic off, and in the drop ceiling, when I got up there to put the light bulb in, there was a jewelry box, an antique jewelry box, hidden in the drop ceiling.
So, obviously, we removed the box and
Anointed it. Got it out of the house.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important to note, too, that there was nothing else stored up in that ceiling. It was by itself. There was nothing in the box.
Yeah.
So once we removed it, she called me a few days later to say that that's the best that she had slept since she actually moved into the house, and that the dog is much happier, and he rests through the night, and there's no more growling and barking at seemingly nothing. And so far, she's not experienced any more happenings, and she really does appear to be at peace. But what really happened here? So, are you ready for some research?
I am on the edge of my chair, ready for some research. Absolutely.
Well, let's hope our listeners are way more excited than you are.
No way.
I'm just teasing.
I'm pumped, babe.
I'm just
Bring it on.
teasing. Well, portals, what are they? Portals are basically believed to be localized points of entry or gateways that are said to connect the physical and the spiritual realm. In Celtic Christianity, there's the concept of thin places. Now, these are geographical locations where the distance between the spiritual realm and earth breaks down. A lot of these are like natural places like caves or deep woods. Oftentimes, mountains are considered the meeting of earth and divine. Like Mount Shasta in California, it's considered the root chakra of the earth, and it's a hot spot for UFO activity.
And a lot of that comes from the Old Testament.
Yeah.
I mean, where did God meet Moses?
Oh, right.
On a mountain.
Yeah.
Where was the temple built? On Mount Zion.
Yeah. Okay.
So God in the Old Testament meets man. The spiritual realm comes in contact with the natural realm on a mountain.
Right. Right. So that's interesting you should mention that, because there's also Mount Kailash in Tibet, and it's believed to be the center of the universe and the literal stairway to higher dimensions. But climbing it is forbidden. It's considered sacred by 4 major religions, and any attempt to climb it is considered sacrilegious.
I see.
Yeah, yeah. And then there are vortexes. Sites like Sedona are claimed to be magnetic or spiritual vortexes that act as portals for spiritual entities to move from place to place. Here, the Earth's energy is believed to be exceptionally alive and swirling. Visitors often report experiencing tingling of the skin, a sense of peace, or a recharging of their batteries. Figuratively, not literally. Scientists point to the high concentration of iron oxide in quartz. Quartz can create an electric charge under pressure, and this may be why people actually experience those vibrations.
Yeah, I know when we spent the night in the room above L, and the slam against the door and the dogs barking, and then the door opened, I know I got up to investigate, and man, my skin was crawling. Absolutely crawling. I mean, I had goosebumps all over. It was pretty bizarre.
Well, then we have Stonehenge, which is said to act as a portal during solstices and equinoxes. And then, of course, there's the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, and it's considered to be an active portal with windows appearing in the sky and some wild electromagnetic anomalies occurring. We'll investigate that in a future episode. And then there is the Bermuda Triangle, and this one is pretty heavily debated, though. It's also said that crossroads, thresholds, and even the witching hour, 3 a.m., can act as an in-between temporal portal where the physical and spiritual converse. I mean, it's said that pacts are made with the devil at crossroads.
Yeah, the witching hour, 3 a.m., is also known as the counter-crucifixion. Jesus died on the cross at 3 p.m., and so the demonic and the paranormal are very, very active at 3 a.m., the opposite of that. And that is the time that I purposely schedule our podcast to be released.
You guys didn't know that, did you? You just knew it was available when you wanted to watch it. Well, but many believe that certain objects like the jewelry box above Elle's bedroom and a Ouija boards can serve as portals or conduits that grant entities access to a person or a physical space. And this is what I want to focus on today. Okay. Now, Ouija boards and other divining tools are considered to be portals because they're used in direct contact with the spiritual realm. But what would cause an everyday item like a small jewelry box to serve as a portal if that's in fact what happened? Well, sometimes researchers suggest that spirits can attach to an object not because anything lives inside the object, but because the object represents a legal right for an entity to remain in the environment. And this is often linked to the history of the object. Now, in this case, we don't know what could have been going on there, but the location of the object does suggest that it could have been used as a hiding place, or it was placed there to serve a specific purpose. Again, there was nothing else there.
And there was nothing in it.
And there was nothing in it.
But it was an antique brand name jewelry box. And I looked on eBay, and they usually go for $50 to $75. I mean,
Sure.
they're not
Sure.
cheap. It was in pretty rough shape, so I obviously didn't sell it on eBay, clearly. But it wasn't. It was a value, an absolute value. And in the Old Testament, the Israelites or the pagans of the Old Testament, they would create an idol. They would create a form of an idol, whether it be out of metal or whether out of wood, and then they would invite the deity to come down and dwell in it. Of course, we know it's the demonic. So there is clear biblical evidence that the demonic do inhabit material items. Yeah.
That's interesting because I actually have something in here in a few minutes about.
Well, there you
Yeah. That's pretty neat. That's pretty. So it's interesting that you didn't think it was in that great a shape. I really thought it was in really good shape.
There was no tears on it. I guess it was just really dusty. There was no rips or tears.
Yeah. That's so interesting. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, some theologians argue that objects have no power and that portals are given authority based on human will and agreement. If you believe an object is cursed, that belief or fear is what really opens the door, not the object itself. But others believe that these objects are like radios tuned to specific spiritual frequencies, and they can affect their environment regardless of whether the victim knows that they even exist. And this is the case with Elle and the jewelry box. After our investigation, we destroyed the jewelry box. Elle never laid eyes on the box, but as soon as we told her about finding an old, small jewelry box tucked away in the rafters, it was like she instinctively knew that this was the source of her problems. So how could this have happened?
How could it have happened?
Yeah.
Let me just kind of interject for a second.
Sure.
If you do find an item and you think it's cursed or have a Ouija board, do not burn it. Do not chop it up. If you destroy the item, then the portal cannot be closed. So do not destroy the item. Bury it. Wrap it up in holy cloth, whatever it is, but do not destroy it. Otherwise, the portal cannot be closed. Because your first instinct is to pitch it in the fire, right?
Well, sure,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
And that destroys the
item.
the ability to close the portal.
Yeah. Well, some demonologists believe that if an object was used in a specific act, like a ritual, a crime, or a betrayal, it becomes tethered to the event, and its presence serves as a permanent reminder in the physical world of a spiritual contract that was made. It's also believed that we have dominion over our own property, and if we dedicate an object to a spirit, this grants that spirit a legal right to occupy the space around it. Now, it's important to note that cursed objects are not possessed. Only living beings with souls can be possessed. These objects are mere focal points for an entity. Objects that have higher attachment potential include idols, which understandably so, jewelry, especially a talisman or a lucky charm.
That's very personal to a person.
Very
Yes.
personal, very personal, yeah. Items that are considered tragedy anchors, and these are items present during trauma events. And of course, occult tools like we mentioned earlier. But does it make sense that an antique jewelry box hidden alone in the ceiling of a house could be a portal? Well, it really does. And you're not going to believe this. Okay?
So this is what you were talking to Gabby about earlier, and you didn't want to tell me.
I didn't. This was.
So I've been waiting for this.
I don't like to share anything about my research with him until we actually record the podcast.
It does not get shared before.
Yeah, I don't like to share anything before, but I had to tell somebody this. And so I pulled Gabby in, and I was like, I have to tell you this information. So people used to hide empty containers in liminal places, like rafters, chimneys, or under the floorboards of homes. And the reason why was because they thought the space was haunted and they were trying to trap wandering spirits. The idea was that the entity would be drawn to the dark, enclosed space of the box and become stuck there, unable to bother the residents of the home. Now, a closed box would indicate that it was a trap, that they were trying to trap somebody. But an open box would be an invitation or a vacancy sign signaling that there was a dedicated space available for an entity to occupy. Well, sometimes jewelry boxes were used not to trap an entity, but to ward away entities because they contain the essence of the owner. It's a very personal item. Usually it would contain a little bit of perfume, or at least the skin cells of the owner. So hiding it in the ceiling was a way to occupy the space with the human's presence to ward off outside spiritual intruders. So is it possible that it was used in one of these two ways?
Well, there were some highly religious people that lived in that house
Yeah.
multiple times over, so possibly so.
Yeah. Well, perhaps the jewelry box had nothing to do with the activity, but if not, why did it seemingly stop when the box was removed? So what are your thoughts on this? So give us some heavy theology. Do you think portals are real? Do you think this was one of them? What do you think about the jewelry box?
In a certain aspect, yes. In the Old Testament, ancient Judaism and Second Temple Judaism, they understood that the watchers, the watcher angels that were in charge of the spiritual realm of the world, so they believed that they come together on this mountain, the watcher angels, to make a pact to take on the daughters of men as wives and betray the border or the boundary between the spiritual and physical realm. Just beyond that mountain was a dry, arid place, a desert, and it still exists today. The desert is there. And so it was believed by the ancient Jews and the Second Temple Jews that that dry, arid place was a portal, was the place where these fallen angels could transcend the place of the dead and the physical realm. They would come up through the desert. This is why in the episode we did about Azazel, the goat demon, where would they send the goat? After they placed the sin upon the goat, where would they send it to Azazel? That desert, that dry, arid place. This is a very prominent belief of the Old Testament, that there is this portal in this desert that transcends the place of the dead and the physical realm, the spiritual and physical realm. And so when you cast out a demon, Jesus says that the demon goes and wanders in a dry, arid place. So he's got Second Temple demonology understanding of where they goes when you cast them out. But then, of course, if the house is then swept clean and if something does not replace it, then the demon comes back. So this idea of the desert as being the portal between the place of the dead, the dry, arid place where demons wander, and the place of the physical realm was even witnessed to as from Jesus Christ himself in the Gospels. So yes, I believe there are particular portals. I don't think there's time dimensions. I don't think there's folds or wrinkles in time.
Sure.
I don't think there's dimensions to other worlds other than I think there is a portal between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. And since the lowest level of demons we understand to be the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, who are half angels, half men, right? These guys, since they were half angels, can transcend the spiritual realm, and since they were once men, the physical realm as well. So it's most likely that is the basis behind this understanding.
Now, do you think that our viewers are thinking that we're kind of cuckoo and that this was just somebody's weed box and
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, it had no odor to it whatsoever. I would think that if that were the case, that it would have had a staunch odor to it, having been closed up for a number of years, but there was no odor to it. I do not believe it to be anybody's stash.
Oh, the Mary Jehob.
Yeah,
no, it was not that.
No, I don't believe that for a moment.
Not for a second, no.
Yeah. Well, do you think the objects can be used as portals?
I do. I believe that in the Old Testament, as they understood it, the pagans would call down this, what they thought was a deity was actually a demon to possess the item, and there was actually some spiritual force there. So yeah, I do believe that that demons can possess and attach themselves to items because they want to hold on to whatever they can in this world. Satan had gained the dominion of the world when Adam surrendered it. What did God give to Adam? He gave him dominion over the physical realm. And when Adam failed the temptation, this is in Romans, by the way, when Adam failed the temptation, the first Adam failed, he handed over his dominion to the devil. So now the devil is known all throughout the Old Testament and in the New Testament demonology as the God of this world, right? The father of lies. And so Jesus says himself, Jesus Christ, God incarnate, says that the strong man must first be bound before you can loot his treasure. So Jesus has to bind the strong man. So after his baptism, what is the first thing that Jesus does? He goes to the desert, the dry, arid place. For what purpose? to be tempted. And Romans tells us that Jesus, the second Adam, the new Adam, actually passes the temptations, thus pulling back the dominion to himself. So now the kingdom of heaven is ushering into the kingdom of this world, the kingdom of the dominion of the devil. And so there's this ongoing spiritual warfare between the two. So how is the kingdom of heaven ushered into this realm, this world? Through the witness and good works of believers, through church services, the receiving of the sacraments. They're all quasi-exorcisms that exercise the authority of the old world, the devil, off a particular place or person or thing and replace it with God's claim. So the demons know they're losing ground, right?
Right.
So they will hold on to whatever they can. And as we talked about before, sometimes they want to take a victory lap.
Yes.
So sometimes they attach themselves to an item or place as a way of reliving, like a psychopath does, keeps a trophy, reliving some conquering victory that they had there.
Right.
And typically the ultimate goal or the ultimate victory for the demonic is to cause someone to commit suicide. And this is Holy Saturday today that we're recording this. Well, who was it that committed suicide on Holy Saturday? Judas. And the Gospels witness to us that the devil did what? He entered Judas.
Right, right.
And so again, there's scriptural proof for all of this. It's not subjective or something made up or something in a vision.
Sure.
And if we look at the early church, the church fathers and the New Testament and the Second Temple demonology, they all three agree with one another on these particular things. So if there's any type of agreement amongst men, holy cow, it's got to be divine, right?
Right.
So,
right. All right, so we know that objects can be used to invite entities. Can they be used to trap entities like the European and American folk magic believed that you could trap and because that's where that came from, that you could trap, if you had an entity or a spirit in your home, you could trap them in a box or whatnot. Is this possible? Is this
there's nothing that I'm aware of in any of the Second Temple, New Testament, or patristic that would teach anything, or scripture at all, that would teach anything like being able to trap an entity. No, I don't believe they can be trapped.
Just folklore.
I mean, it was a great storyline for Ghostbusters.
Yeah, with their vacuum. I can't suck one up in my vacuum or put it in a bottle like a genie.
I don't think they can be trapped. I don't think they can be trapped.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. You ready for a reality check?
I'm ready for a reality check.
I'm on the fence about this one. I think it's bizarre, to say the least, and I'm glad that the activity stopped for Elle and that she's at peace. But on the other hand, I don't know that the jewelry box was the cause of it. I do know that I believe that the activity did occur. I witnessed it myself. I believe wholeheartedly the activity did occur. But I know also that the enemy is tricky, and I know also that removing the box, it could have been, okay, I'm going to back off for a little bit until they let their guard down, I'm going to hit them hard again. And I hate that, but I'm kind of leaning more towards that than the jewelry box being the cause.
Yeah, I don't believe they could be trapped, because what's the first thing I did?
Yeah.
I opened it.
You opened it.
So if it was trapped, one, it was causing activity from its trap, probably not. Two, I untrapped it. So it should be the opposite.
Right.
The activity should have increased
instead
of diminished. So I'm just not big on the trapping thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's still interesting why it was placed there, and I'm sure that there was a reason for it, and unfortunately we'll probably never know what that is. But yeah, so just not buying this one too much.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, next week we're going to talk about seances.
Yeah. Don't talk to dead people.
I know we'll say it a whole lot next week, I'm sure, but I'm really excited about that one. One of my favorite shows that we watch. They're very, very wealthy people, but they're always talking about having a seance to talk to their parents, and I just sometimes money's wasted on not real bright people.
Yeah, truly.
All right. Well, do you have anything more to say about portals?
I do not, other than I think that there is a plausible biblical case for it, and that one should be careful. And just, again, do not destroy the object. Do not burn it. You bury it. If nothing else, bury it. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you to Trent and Jackie for allowing us to use their beautiful venue here at Crow Coffee Lounge. Thank you to Shane over at Hive and Pulpit for his excellent editing abilities. We'll do it again next week.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.